all the green is gone from my hair. What's up, Shadowhunters, Angels, and Darkmolders alike, and welcome to the first Fair and Unbiased for Season 2B of Shadowhunters. So, Fair and Unbiased is where I discuss more of the plot-centered topics of each episode, and I also discuss things in as fair and unbiased fashion as I can manage. So, first of all, I want to take something that I forgot to mention in first thoughts. It was a first thought that I had, I just forgot to write it down. I love the sibling dynamic in Mina and Maxima Culpa. I'm still butchering that. I always love it when there's scenes between Alec and Isabel, because I feel like establishing how strong their bond is very important, because we always see how strong Jace and Alec are because they're power tie. We even sometimes see how strong Jace and Isabel are, but I think it's really important that it is established that Alec and Isabel are extremely close and would practically die for each other because they are brother and sister. So I'm not going to keep saying the title of the episode, so I'm just going to say episode 11. In episode 11, we saw Alec trying to help Isabel sort of sweat out the Yin Fen, and he still has he's still weary of Raphael, because obviously Raphael helped Isabel. He kind of enabled her drug addiction, which is understandable, you know. Like, I had a whole rant before about how I hated that people were kind of babying Raphael, like saying like it's not his fault. It was. He was just as much at fault for enabling than Isabel was for actually taking it. So I understand that Alec is still annoyed, and there's just something about the scene when Isabel called Alec and he was so relieved that this sort of tugged at my heartstrings. I was just like, aww. I think it's extremely important, these scenes, to kind of establish how close the Lightwoods are with each other, because it is something that's definitely lacking in the books. In the books, it was kind of just, oh, they're brother and sister, and then nothing. They kind of care for each other sometimes, but it's not constant. It's kind of just in tiny bits here and there. So it's nice to see that kind of acknowledged even more. And every time that Alec and Isabel are caring for each other and loving for each other and just supporting and worrying about each other, it really means a lot. And I think that is really important to establish, because later on down the line, if anything serious happens to either of them, then it'll impact even harder, because we know how much they love and care for each other. So I really appreciated them including that even more. Alec helping Isabel with her drug addiction and being really freaked out and scared when she goes missing, and willing to do anything at all, which even means like taking Valentine from his cell to try and find out where she is and to get her back, just do anything to get her back. And I think that really fits in well with Alec's character. I mean, he was willing to do so much for his family in season 1. He was so protective of her in season 2A, and I'm glad to see that this theme is continuing. So, actual plot discussions now. So, in this episode, a greater demon, Azazel, is laying waste across New York because he's trying to find the Mortal Cup. Darkmolders are also beginning to rebel. Werewolves are going against Luke. If the vampires find out that Simon is a daylighter because he drank from Jace's blood, then they're going to rebel. They're going to go after Jace and Simon. So there's a lot of tension. Episode 10 of season 2A left us with a lot of tension. An entire room of Darkmolders was killed. So obviously this was going to continue on into season 2B, where the Darkmolders were going to be like, hey, what the fuck? Is no one going to acknowledge this? And they're all going to start getting up in arms and started trying to rebel. I feel like this is going to be the theme of 2B. The Darkmolders are going to start rebelling against the Shadowhunters because of Jace touching the Soul Sword and killing a whole room of Darkmolders. The Darkmolders have always sort of been in danger of rebelling because of how they're oppressed by the Shadowhunters, and this is kind of exactly the kind of incentive that they needed to kind of start saying no. So the werewolves are starting to say, look, let's kill more humans, let's make our pack bigger, we need to fight against the Shadowhunters. Luke led us on a mission that killed a lot of werewolves, and Luke and Maya mainly. Maya, I keep saying Maya. Luke and Maya are pretty much, by the looks of it, the only ones who aren't keen on this. And it could be argued that is because they have their biases, because Luke is Clary's guardian, and Maya I called it that time, Maya dated Simon. So it can be argued that the only reason that they're not thinking the same way is because they have their biases, but yeah, to be fair, Luke has a point. Going out and killing humans is not really the way forward, considering the fact that most of the werewolves in that pack were probably werewolves because they were attacked by another werewolf. Maya certainly understands because that's exactly what happened to her. So I'm glad that we're getting to see things with Luke again. There wasn't a lot of him in the trailers and people were starting to get worried. So I'm glad that he has got an ongoing plot that's already starting up. He's probably, a lot of his plot in this season is probably going to be related to his pack and keeping them under control and trying to stop them from rebelling against the Shadowhunters because of what happened in episode 10. And it's interesting because I like to see the alpha and his pack dynamics. I think it's very interesting. And I want to see where this is going to go. Are the werewolves? Is there going to be another battle? Is Luke going to have to fight someone to retain his position as alpha? And where are they going to take this? Are they actually going to start killing humans? Is Luke going to have to start stopping them? Are Luke and Maya going to become the outcasts of the pack? There's just so many possibilities here, and I think it's definitely interesting to see where it's going to go. And as previously mentioned, Simon is now a daylighter, which can cause problems because if the vampires find out that he's a daylighter because he drank from Jace's blood, then it's going to become a problem. It wasn't exactly properly described why it's going to become a problem, but we know for sure that both Jace and Simon will become in danger if the vampires find out that that's how it happened. I'm guessing that maybe it might become a problem because maybe the vampires will try and attack Shadowhunters to try and become daylighters themselves, not understanding that it's because Jace is pure angel blood. But I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if I missed something, but all I gleaned from it was that if they find out that Simon is a daylighter from drinking Jace's blood, it's going to become a major problem. And the conversation with Raphael only highlighted that because he was very, so tell me, where'd it come from? Why you daylighter? I've been doing this for 60 years and I'm not one. I can understand why I'd be bothered. I would be too. I'd be kind of like, why is this little shit who just joined our group getting to be a daylighter while the rest of us are like slugging through the shit for like 60 odd years? So I get it. It's just going to be interesting. Interesting is going to be a word I'm going to be using a lot because a lot of it is very interesting and I don't have a thesaurus on me to go interesting and then find all the different things, so I'm just going to keep saying interesting because it's interesting. Get it? It's interesting. Some people had a problem with Alec telling Magnus to come, or what was it, come with me, let's go, when he was leaving the apartment, but that's just the PC patrol. I'm sorry, but Alec was just encountered by the man who was supplying his sister drugs in the apartment of his boyfriend. So I wouldn't exactly be chipper either. It's not like Alec was saying, come Warlock or something like that. He was just saying, let's go. I think people need to stop being so sensitive and babying the characters to a ridiculous point, because I think that's a bit too much. People can have their opinions, but to me that was just being a bit too overly sensitive, but as I say, that's just me. So, Azazel is a prince of hell, and as I say, he is lying waste across New York, and he is trying to find the Mortal Cup. Because the Mortal Cup is a mortal instrument, it was a problem in season 1 that people were trying to get it. It's going to be a problem continuously that people are trying to get the Mortal Cup. But this is interesting because it's a greater demon. Greater demons, as described by Jace, they're sentient, they have personalities, they look like humans if they choose to. So they're a lot more dangerous than just the demons that sort of go out and kill on instinct. So Azazel is looking for the Mortal Cup, and they're led to believe that Azazel has kidnapped Isabel, but we know that he hadn't. Sebastian took her to his house, I'm assuming, to give her the medicine for the infant, but they are led to believe that Azazel has Isabel. So Valentine says, well, why don't you trade me for Isabel? And because he'll think I know where the cup is. So they're like, okay, let's do that. So they have their pentagram set up. Magnus is like doing his thing, and they summon Azazel, and Azazel is like, I don't have Isabel, but I'm a greater demon, so and he basically like blasts them all like out of the way. But before that, just a couple of seconds before, something interesting happened. Azazel recognized Magnus, And this is something that is definitely foreshadowing, and this is coming from someone who knows about where Magnus comes from because of reading the books, but that was most definitely foreshadowing, and I think this is the setup of starting to find out more about Magnus's past and what his history is like. I don't know if they're going to make the conflict between him and Alec crop up because of his history. I hope not, because that would just be awful and boring, and I hope they don't go that way. But this Azazel Prince of Hell plotline has definitely been a setup for finding out where Magnus comes from and his family and his history and all of his past. So this was a seed that's been planted that is most definitely going to be referenced later when we find out where Magnus comes from, and I can't wait for that, because let's be honest, anything to do with Magnus, like, sign me up for. Like, I'm ready for it. Just give me all of it. Because it is obvious that Magnus doesn't talk about his past. He doesn't like to. He sometimes references it, but he only references like the sort of good times, like the fun times he's had. He never references his roots, where exactly he came from. So it's most likely, and I think it's been hinted at a couple of times by showrunners and stuff, that Magnus's history, or at least parts of his history, will come up in this season. So I can't wait for that. Like, I really can't. Like, I needed it yesterday. Like, yesterday. So Azazel escapes, and the plan had been that Clary was going to use her sunbeam rune to, like, blast him into the sky. But it doesn't work. It's not explained why it doesn't work, but Clary applies the rune and it doesn't work. So Azazel basically, he does his brain hemorrhage thing on them, and they're all lying on the floor and they're all sort of in pain and stuff like that. And he does something to Magnus and Valentine. And while he does that, Jace unlocks his angelic ability. He is able to start his runes. He's able to put his runes on without needing his stele. And this is actually something that I'm actually glad that happened, because if you watch my podcast with me where we discuss the books, it is never really properly mentioned what Jace's angelic ability is. Clary has all these great abilities. She can draw pictures, make objects go into the paper, she can invent runes, she's this, she's that, and the other, all because of her angel blood. And then it's said that Jace has the angel blood too, but all it's really said is that he has angelic good looks, and I think someone mentioned that he can jump. So I'm glad that Shadowhunters, whether it was mentioned in the books and I missed it, that Jace can activate his runes without his stele, I don't think it was, because that is really new. I am really glad that Shadowhunters are giving him something, because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever for Clary to have all these abilities, because she has pure angel blood. But for when you say, well, what can Jace do? It's like, I don't know. He's good looking, I guess. You get what I mean? So Azazel escapes the pentagram and he swaps Valentine and Magnus's minds. Now, as I say this, I had no idea that that's what happened. Maybe I'm just fucking stupid. But even at the very, very end, when Magnus is walking down the street and he says, "Filthy warlock," I'm like, I was sitting going, is that Azazel? I don't know why, but I thought Azazel went to Magnus's body to, I don't know, infiltrate and try and find out where the Mortal Cup was. That was my bad. I can be a fucking idiot when I want to. Check out my video where it's basically called AKA Aaron is a fucking moron, because I can be very stupid, but I did not get that that's what had happened. I thought that it was Azazel that went to Magnus's mind, but as I say, I'm an idiot. But when I found out that it was that he swapped Magnus and Valentine's minds, that made a lot more sense. That I was like, oh, okay, like that makes a lot more sense than what I thought it was going to be. Let's talk about Harry Schum Jr. for a minute. Harry Schum Jr. is a blessing to this show, and I'm going to tell you why. His acting at the end of this episode was something that I have no words for it. This is the same as when Alberto Rosende imitated Dominic Sherwood playing Jace last season, but a bit, like, there's something about this I think was just a bit better. Not that I'm comparing them against each other, but there was just something about his acting at the end of this episode that bowled me over, because as soon as Azazel disappears and Alec is helping Magnus up, you can immediately tell that there's something wrong. Even though I thought it was Azazel, there was just something about how there was a wedge between them. Like, I would have thought that they would have been kind of closer, like, not like, you know, hugging or anything, but I thought they'd be a bit closer. There seemed to be kind of a divide between them, and suddenly all chemistry just left. And that was obviously more on Harry Schum Jr.'s part than it would have been Matthew Daddario's, because Matthew Daddario was acting like Alec, thinking it was Magnus. So this was more down to Harry Schum Jr., and I cannot believe it. I thought it was amazing. Like, just all chemistry died as soon as it's supposedly Valentine inside Magnus's body. Even when Alec is like, "Should I come over? Do you need me?" And he's just sort of like, "No, I'll text you." There's just, you know that there's something wrong with him, and you know that everything is not right, because it's still Valentine pretending to be Magnus so that he can get out of the institute without arousing suspicion. But there was just, it was just amazing, like how he did that and how he portrayed it. And and that actually ignites a theory that a lot of people are having, and it kind of occurred to me after I recorded First Thoughts. There's been a promo showing Magnus telling Alec to get out, and I remember watching it going, "Oh no, no more Malik angst, I can't handle it." But it could actually be Valentine telling Alec to get out next episode, because why would Valentine like want Alec around him? Because not only is he annoyed that he is in a warlock's body, but he's in a bisexual warlock's body who is a high warlock who is in a relationship with a male Shadowhunter. He won't want Alec around, so it actually fits more that it is probably Valentine in Magnus's body telling Alec to get out of the apartment. And I really hope that's the case, because I can't cope with more like true Malik angst. And hopefully, once everything gets resolved, because you know it's going to get resolved, once everything gets resolved, they'll hopefully still be happy Malik. Well, I say happy Malik, there's probably going to be a lot of trauma on Magnus's part, which makes me sad, but yeah, I think that theory is actually really good. I think that might actually be what they're going for here, so it'll be interesting to see if that's what actually happens. This was actually hinted at when the cast did, there was it 14 days, they did 14 days of teasers, and was it Harry Schum Jr. or someone else? I can't remember. It might have been Luke, actually. It might have been Isaiah Mustafa, actually, who said that Magnus and Valentine get very close. And I was sitting going, "Oh no," I was like, they're going to kidnap him or something. And even though it's not kidnapping, it's something even worse. Like, I'd rather they kidnapped him. This is so bad, because you see in the promo that they're going to execute Valentine, and obviously Alec isn't going to know, because it's just going to be like Valentine going like, "I'm Magnus Bean," and then Alec is just going to be like, "No, you're not." You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that you can expect Alec to completely understand that it is Magnus, because it could easily just be Valentine fucking around with him. So there's no way for Alec to know. So Magnus is just going to get so much torture. There's going to be so much emotional trauma from this. And I know a lot of people on Tumblr are talking about the fact it'll have an Alec, and it will have a bit mass effect on Alec. When Alec finds out that it was Magnus in Valentine's body, he's going to feel guilty as shit. But no, the focus should be on Magnus, because this is basically getting mind and body raped without actual rape, because Valentine is violating Magnus's body, and Magnus's mind is being violated inside Valentine's body. So there's no way to win here. And not only that, he is enduring copious amounts of torture under the hands of the Shadowhunters, because the Shadowhunters think it's Valentine. And the worst thing of it all is there's no way for the Shadowhunters to know, because as I say, it could just be Valentine saying, "Oh, I'm Magnus," and they'd be like, "No, you're not." You know what I mean? So this will definitely have a massive traumatic impact on Magnus in particular. Sure, it'll affect Alec as well, but no, this is Magnus's plot line, and it's just going to, my poor baby, it's going to torture him so much. Oh, I'm not looking forward to it. I need it to be next week already, so just so all this torture can be over for Magnus, and we can be back to, yay, give Malik again, if we even get that, because so much emotional trauma. Ugh. So that's Fair and Unbiased for this week. Shadowhunters, Angels, and Darkmothers Alike. There was nothing really that I thought that I could say was a problem. I don't think there was a problem. More the problem that I had was the fact that people were trying to make Magnus's problem Alec's problem, and it will be Alec's problem as well, but not on the same level that it will be Magnus's problem next episode, because Alec will get affected by it, but not on the same level that Magnus will. So yeah, that bothered me. That bothered me for sure. I'll see you next week, Shadowhunters, Angels, and Darkmothers Alike. And remember, Magnus and Alec can have problems separate from each other, and you need to remember that sometimes Magnus can have a plotline without it being majorly about Alec, and Alec can have plotlines without majorly being about Magnus. So yeah, there's that. Malik are separate characters. This is something that we need to really get across, but it will have an impact on both of them, but it will definitely affect Magnus more. So yeah.